start this off with you.
Oh, okay.
You want to?
That's cool with me. Whatever.
You're a better talker.
Hillary said to make it so she could use it. So
Okay.
this is Dan Staten, and we're doing ElkShape / Hunt Health Harvest.
Hunt, harvest, health.
Shit. Take 2. Hunt, harvest, health.
Hunt, harvest, health. It's
What
got to
a-
be in that order, too.
Hunt, then harvest, then health. Okay.
Yeah, from hunting and harvesting, you gain your health.
Makes sense to
That's
me.
right. That's right. That's why we did it.
That's cool. Well,
It just flowed.
I say we keep it.
Let's do it.
So what's going on, man?
Well, we're in Boise. We're getting ready to go kind of hang out at the BHA and see what everybody's got to say and meet all the cool people and hang out with the cool people that we know and just sitting here with you.
Will
doing
you
a
sign
podcast.
autographs?
Oh, no, there's never going to be an autograph from me. If
Okay.
anybody's going to want an autograph, it's going to be from Dan the Fitness Man.
I hope not, because I won't get one. But yeah, we're dude. It's been a while since. When's the last time I actually saw your face?
Oh, man. You know, we swung in. We were coming back from, I believe, Montana. We swung in, had some dinner. You cooked up some, I think, elk steaks. And, yeah, we saw you at your other house where you were.
Yeah.
Me and the kiddos and the wife. So we swung in and hung out with you for a couple hours
Yeah,
in Spokane. So, but that was last year.
that was last year,
A
and
long
then
time ago.
before that was probably like Nevada.
Yeah, that's right. Our hunt in Nevada.
Your hunt. In
I
Nevada.
saw you. I think I saw you for 2 days in Nevada.
It was cool though. I mean, we were both coming from different places. You were doing a train to hunt comp like national, and then
Yeah.
I was getting there a day early. I didn't have a lot of time. I had to just get in there and get after it, and we kind of picked a spot to look for each other. And
Yeah, you and I had talked and kind of decided on this one area, and me being the slacker that I am, I had prior obligations. You know, thinking back, it worked out, but it could have been a disaster for me because I committed to the Train to Hunt Nationals thing. And so I showed up late, and I don't even think, we weren't there for the opener. You know, I think August 10th is the opener. Boy, I don't even think I showed up on that hunt till 16th or 17th or something like that. So you had been into that country that we had picked out on a map and had a chance to tell me about all the bucks that were running around.
you know, there was good deer densities
Yeah.
and good moo cow densities. My
A
goodness.
lot of moo cows. I didn't see those on the maps I was looking at.
Did you think that would have been that's a pretty hard to draw elk tag area? Do you think the elk hunting there was as good as I mean, obviously it was August, but did you lay eyes on any like 350 plus bulls?
No.
Or anything? I didn't either.
I didn't. I saw a absolute ton of bulls.
Yeah.
The most bulls I've ever seen early season like that.
Yeah,
In that kind of country, in the Aspens, Quakies, and all that. But I never did. I saw absolute, crud ton of 6 points. White horn 6 points. Just getting friendly, starting to lock up some horns and stuff like that. And just after they've rubbed off and all that. But I never did lay eyes on a monster. And I was surprised, to be honest, because the country that we were in and just the absolute density of elk in that country was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
I had no idea that I was going to see that many big bulls running around.
It was
Not
interesting.
big,
I mean, I did see a
decent
little bit of cow. I would say collaboration with mule deer, but for the most part, it seemed like they kept their distances from each other.
Yeah. I noticed there was a lot more of those big bachelor groups of bulls, kind of in those upper end basins where the water was.
Mhm.
They were really just kind of hanging within a quarter half mile of those upper basins. But no, it was cool to see. I know I took a lot of pictures and videos and stuff of them just out. I saw a lot of those bulls that were just kind of out all day, just up in those hanging in those upper basins. With mule deer, not hanging really like close to them, but not too far off. They seem to travel a little bit further away from that water midday than the elk did, is what I noticed.
Oh yeah, and I don't even know if the deer were hitting water every day. It didn't seem like they were.
No, that buck I ended up finding, I never did kind of figure out where he was watering because there wasn't really a water patch for a ways from him. But then the other side of the rim, kind of the easier side to travel, I did have a basin, kind of a sage flat, and every day about 3 to 5, I swear I saw every buck in the county was coming in. They were just funneling in there, and that was fun to watch too. but I never did see any monsters come in. So the monsters, you know, those loner bucks kind of kept their distance from those like mainstay watering holes.
Yeah.
And they had a little hidey hole somewhere that they were getting their licks in. But
do you remember who the outfitter that was in there? I ran into the guy and said, "Hey, I'm camping here," and he's like, "I have a camp already there," and I'm like, okay. Like, do you have clients? And he's like, "I don't have a client for 5 days. If you keep an eye out for big bulls, you can stay at my camp." And we
is that what he said?
Yeah. And we like went up there, and he had wall tents, and then you and I found each other, and I was like, "Well, hey, we got cots."
Yeah, we stayed. I was living like a king there for a night.
Oh,
I think it was 1 night or 2 nights. But yeah, that was pretty fancy to hike all the way in there with this loaded pack and have everything on your back ready to just be away from it all. And then lo and behold, you run into a really cool outfitter that's like, if you want, just stay in my tent.
That's beautiful country. I've had a lot of people message me, "Where were you?" And I've been like, man, I'm not that secretive when it comes to mule deer, but out of respect to Ryan, my buddy, I can't really tell you if you know, but you had a cool hunt. Like, you almost got hit by lightning. You saw a cougar and killed, what, 180-inch plus mule deer with your bow.
Yep. Yeah, it was everything you want out of a mule deer hunt, especially a hunt out of state in country you've never seen before. Yeah, it had everything. I would have done without the lightning strike, to be quite honest. That scared the crap out of me.
Were you on the rim?
I was right on the top. Yep. And the thing about it was there was 2 big boulders on that lip where I was. And I was standing right next to the tallest boulder. And I was looking ahead 30 yards at a big old boulder, but it was lower elevation than I was. And that's where that lightning strike hit. So, you know, it should have hit me, you know, in my mind. I was a little taller than that boulder, but it hit 30 yards in front of me and just crack. And I boogied down that mountain so fast. I stayed in a contractor bag for, I don't know how long. It was a while before that storm passed. And then I had to go back and look at that rock. You know, I had no idea what it would do to a rock. I just saw it slam into it. So I went back up and walked up to that rock that it hit. And yeah, it kind of just like shook the top plate. Like there's those kind of rocks where you got different plates, different levels. And it shook that and just kind of spread it apart a little bit. So I could kind of see these lines coming off of those splits. Sweet. So I took a bunch of, you know, photos of that. But no, that was super spooky. But it was a good lesson.
The cougar you saw?
Don't mess around with it.
No, don't. The cougar you saw, where was that, up high too?
It was. It was right on the rim as well. And that was interesting because I was glassing up some bucks, and there was a buck in there. It was a 3-point. It was like a 30-plus inch. It might have been like 32, big old 3-point. And he was running with 7 or 8 other bucks. And I was glassing them up, and they're kind of spread across this hillside feeding early in the morning. It's just getting light. And I'm watching them, and all of a sudden, they just all run together. Like they all just, like a magnet, cluster up. Now you got this ball of antlers and mule deer in the middle of this hill. And I'm looking at them trying to figure out what just spooked them. My wind's right. It's not me. But just prior to that, across the canyon, it's still kind of dark. I saw all these elk funneling out of this other valley. I couldn't figure that out. Like, why are they running at this time? You know, they should be just chill. Well, what that was a cat had snuck down that valley. It pushed those elk out, and it came between me and those muleys obviously picked up that cat before I did. And because I looked over, and as I saw those critters all clustered up, I looked to my right, and there was that cat just crouched down, just looking right at me, 50 yards away, just staring right at me. And so tried to get a picture, but I just couldn't get it with my spotter. And that was that was interesting and cool. But that country is just loaded with cats. And I talked to you, and you actually advised me to get a cougar tag if I was going to be there, because you told me you're probably going to see one. Every time you've been down there in that country, you've seen cats. So, yeah, I probably should have got one, but I wouldn't have got a shot on that one anyway.
Yeah, but the way you hike and the country you cover, I would say probability-wise, yeah, you'd be a good candidate to get a cougar tag. I know the one I did see a couple years ago was just I think I went somewhere most people don't go to look down and glass at night, and there was a cougar sunning right there, and finally saw me and got up, and it would have been a 10-yard shot. I mean,
Man.
I didn't have anything with me when I saw that.
Smart thing to do is just have a tag in your pocket in case you get into a situation like that.
So compare and contrast the unit you hunted last year, and you obviously don't say what, but I know it was a super easy to draw because you burned your points the year before.
I did.
So what was that country like, and what was that hunt like?
This past season, so I drew with
Still
0
Nevada.
points. Yep, still Nevada. Went in just kind of like most guys do. It's well known. You shoot for the stars in Nevada, and then if you're not looking to gain points, you just put a couple of easier draw tags at the end, the 4th and 5th. And lo and behold, I drew it. And it was a unit that I looked at on my way back from the prior year when me and you were down there. And it's great country. It's just like most of those ranges are down there. Long, skinny, north-south running ridge. And there's just mountain range after mountain range after mountain range like that, you know. So I looked at that and what the heck, it's decent draws I put in. And I talked to a couple guys that kind of knew the area. Timbernet's one of them. He was telling me, you know, it's worth it. You know, there's some critters out there. It's cool country.
Yep.
There's some good steeps and areas to get away. And so I drew it, and after talking to Tim, I was pretty excited. Went in there and figured that out. But it was different country. It didn't have, you know, where you and I were, there was it was high desert, but it was like sage flats, not too far away. It almost felt like you were on the valley floor, especially with the cows that we were running into. But pretty thick sage areas, and then, you know, rimmy, alpine-y, avalanche shooty type stuff as well. This country was a little bit different than that. You know, it had a lot of scrub and not the sage flats that this area had. And water was, it was pretty prevalent where I was in this unit this last year. It wasn't too hard to find. And same thing, I was seeing a lot of bucks around the water, but I wasn't seeing the big, you know, real big bucks. So how those big ones are getting their water, I don't know, up in there, because it's definitely seemed to pick up big bachelor groups of, you know, good bucks, just not that old age class buck. For whatever reason, I don't know why that is, but similar in that it had a lot of the Quakies. It had, you know, little stands where they could get away, but this unit had some really nice topography for a bow hunter. It had the rocks, it had some rims, it had a lot more little ridges that you could kind of get up on those bucks and actually get a shot. So the country you and I were in, it didn't have as much of that. It was pretty intimidating for a bow hunter. It was more of, you know, see them and just do everything you can to get up on them. The thermals were changing like crazy where you and I were. There was no consistency. Whereas this spot this last year that I drew, more of your typical early season high mountain buck hunt. Thermals, you know, they're dropping in the morning, they're coming up midday, and they're dropping down. And the bucks were, you know, bedded anywhere from the lower quarter to the upper quarter end. So it was more of your classic, you know, everything you want as a bow hunter type hunt, where I think you and I can both agree where you and I were, it was frustrating at times the first year.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but you got it done, and I almost got it done, so it's not that bad of a spot. But it was definitely not what I was, you know, you envision Nevada and the bowls and the cliffs and the rocks and the bluffs, and you putting them to bed and you wait for the thermals and you do your stock, and it's in your socks, you make that shot, and it's probably 40, and it's a done deal, you know. But
yeah, it definitely, you know, and where you and I were, there was a lot of variance to the country, but I think what held us up there was there's a pretty good amount of deer, like you said. There's good bucks to look at. And you hate to leave that, so you just don't. One major difference was you and I had moo cows. This other range I was in had horses.
Oh, really?
A lot of them. And, dude, the horses, kind of cool to look at, but really a pain when you're stalking around. And there's groups of
were they up high?
Big old Mustangs. Oh, yeah, right on the tip tops. Right on the tip tops. So they'll come look at you. You'll see them bedded down. They'll come look at you, and they'll just kind of stand there, you know, a couple 100 yards out. And then they'll get close, and then they'll go back. And it's just they're always in your way. And it seemed like probably 3-4 times I was trying to move, and they would just stay right ahead of me. Similar to with the cows, you know, it was almost like every direction you went, the cows would be in front of you. That's kind of how those horses treated me on this last hunt. So I really didn't start seeing how I was going to make it possible until I got away from those dang horses. So frustrating. Something as a Washingtonian, we don't have cows in the backcountry. We don't have wild horses running around where you're hunting. So it's completely different. But
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man, you had a great season. We don't have to talk about the past. Let's talk about the future. What are you looking forward to in 2018? I know you're play the games and get the draw. And where do you want to be?
Man, so I'm going into this season as excited as I've ever been for any season. It just seems like, you know, I'm just so anticipating this season. We've got a lot of good plans. My buddy Jeff Lusk, we've put in together, well, not together, but we both are going to draw a unit in Colorado. So I had some points, and this is, you know, Colorado is a funny state because, you know, I had, I think, 5 points or something like that. But being a bow hunter, early season muley, I didn't need those points.
No.
I've almost been putting in for too long. For a lot of the hunts that I want, they're 0 or 1 point type units. So I don't see it as a waste, but I just burned them up. It's like, I want to hunt a unit that I'm going to be able to hunt in 2 more years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go learn a unit and then have to spend another 5. And with the point creep, it's probably, I'd be putting in for a unit that's 5 this year. It may be 7 or 8 here in a few. This is not something I wanted to do. So we went ahead and put in on a unit, high mountain unit, early August. So we're going to go do that, and that's going to be exciting. It's got a over-the-counter elk tag available option. So we're going to focus completely on muleys in the beginning and not even address the elk. And then if things work out and we make it all happen, we're gonna get our elk tags and stay there and go after them. But at that point, we'll have a lot better knowledge of the unit, what's there, if those bulls are up top, and where we're going to be chasing muleys. But
is muleys the last Saturday in August?
It is. I think it's the 25th this year.
Oh, that's a good year.
Yeah, 25th. So it's, you know, it's not Nevada. It's not August 10th. But I think those 6 days there prior to September, you know, those are going to be our best. Obviously, the first few. So we're getting in there early.
Yeah.
Getting in there plenty. And, you know, one thing that is on my mind, and I don't know about you, Dan, but have you dealt with altitude sickness at all? Have you ever been in an area where you actually felt it?
Just a little. I killed a bull in New Mexico, and it was where there's sheep, and I think it was just a touch under 11.
Okay.
Where I shot this bull, and I felt pretty sick. I had a headache. I felt fatigued, lethargic, and I couldn't drink enough water. And I think I actually had to, like, I don't know, I think.
Do you get, like, nauseous and stuff like that?
I wasn't nausea, but it was like, it wasn't that. It was just pure fatigue and headache and just no motivation after I killed that bull, because I still had a couple days to help some other friends. And I think after we got my bull back to camp, I stayed in camp for a day, which is not like me. I mean, not to squander a second, but have you?
I have not. I never have, but it's on my mind.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it seems like being from Washington, I'm at sea level.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my house is parked at like 350 feet above sea level. You know, that's where I live. Well, I've skied a lot. I've never had an issue. I've skied A Basin in Colorado, and that was at 13,000 feet. And never had an issue. But I hear so many horror stories. And so we're gonna tackle this as if it's a possibility. So we're gonna get there
smart.
A few days ahead. Last thing I want to do is to have to just run down the mountain and get lower in elevation and ruin a hunt. This is I'm gonna put such an emphasis on this hunt that definitely gonna get there, have a few days to acclimate, slowly move our way up, and also have a few days to scout.
I think, and there's deer down low that people aren't looking at.
Sure.
And I think that'll give you some time. But if you gave yourself 3 days to get to the max elevation you're going to be at, and just drank water and got sleep, your body's going to acclimate. But no one does that. That's when the people get sick. And, you know, when one dude died in Wyoming a couple years ago from altitude sickness. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
Gosh, I wish I had I don't have internet or a computer in front of me. I could Google it in a second. But we need like a Joe Rogan Jamie.
I know.
Hey, Jamie, look that up. But yeah.
Jeff Lusk.
Oh, Jeff.
Altitude sickness.
Wyoming. We'll get that to you. So it's a real thing, and I've only had it once, but
Yeah.
I think isn't there a supplement you can take like bitterroot extract?
Yeah, and I know several companies have. I think Mountain Ops has one called, was it Solitude?
I think so.
They've got one. Yeah, I don't know exactly what the chemical makeup of it that helps. I know
Your
guys
wife
will
would.
take. She would. She's out walking the daughter right now, but Diamox is something that people take for kind of eliminating the symptoms. That helps. We were joking around last night. I've also heard guys take Cialis
Oh,
for whatever reason. Something about blood flow to the lungs or something like that helps. But we decided if we're going to take something, we're going to go with the Diamox.
man, 30 dies of altitude sickness hunting in the Wyoming mountains. That was in 2015. A guy named Ben Sloan died of altitude sickness while hunting elk and mule deer, and the whole story. But it's real. I think he was from the Midwest. So
Solo hunting or?
no, he's with his family. And I think they left him in the tent the one day he wasn't feeling good. Just he's like, "Nah, go hunt." And they came back and he was not.
That's
he was
scary
not
stuff.
alive. So I mean, it is a real thing. But I think you'll be fine. You're really fit. You're young. You're smart. You're gonna go up.
I don't know enough about it to I just don't know because I've never experienced it. I like to think that's going to continue, but the last thing in the world I want to do is not be precautious and I just want to take, do anything and everything to ensure that hunt's going to be, on a level that we're comfortable with and we're not having any issues we have to dump down and wreck a few days of acclimation. So.
Well, yeah, you should be careful. And I can say, because I've hunted with you in the same country, you hike way faster than I do. Like you cover, I'm Dan the fitness man, dude. Fitness is my ally. I tell people that's why I get animals killed is because I just don't give up and I'm fit and I can keep hitting it. Dude, I hunted with you and I was telling the guy Jacob I was with, I was like, I don't know if I've ever met anyone who covers that much country that fast. You're a little, you're not short. You got a good stride and you're really lean and you move fast. So I would definitely be cautious because you could go, well, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm going to keep going. A guy like you is really mentally tough and, be smart about it. And I think it's a good thing for us to bring up. I think people should think about it, especially you Colorado guys.
Yeah. So it'll be a learning experience for me. Like I mentioned, I've never hunted Colorado. It's been on the bucket list for a while. So I've always been pretty content with, similar to you, Washington and Idaho and Montana, just over-the-counter hunts. And just getting that bug now the last few years to really branch out and look at these new locations and new states. And Colorado's been one that I've been wanting to do forever. It's like the mule deer mecca.
It is.
And so, yeah, it's that's the first hunt of the year. I mean, I can't say that. I'm going to do another bear hunt with my daughter just prior to that. Prior to that hunt. We got some fall bear hunts. Hoping the berries are going to be popping prior to that hunt where we can go out. And it's funny, my daughter and I, we got a bear that we saw last year, just this jet black, beautiful, not a huge bear, but he was a good sized bear last year. And it was a beautiful day when we were up there. We were eating berries, sitting in this alpine setting and looking across, and it was like a quarter mile away, this bear. And my daughter was so jacked up to try to get down there and try to get over to it. And we spent a while, I don't know, a half hour, an hour, trying to figure out a route to get there. And without rope and a harness, we could not get down far enough to where we could shoot over and go after that bear. So I'm bummed out when something like that doesn't happen. You got to leave something just because you can't access it. So we luckily what happened was we had to back out, and I told her, well, you know what, we'll just go try to find another bear. We're not going to risk life and limb to go try to get in there. If we did get down there somehow, I don't think we'd get back out. So, my daughter was 8. I wanted to be super safe and not have any issues. But then, we got that bear a little after that, about probably only an hour and a half after that. We found another just beautiful chocolate, and we got that one. But my daughter remembers that big jet black we saw.
She's not going to forget it.
No, we're going after that bear. So, hoping he's going to be in the same basin. I'm assuming he will. And going to bring, the gear to get down after him, and little harness, little rope, drop her down there, and it should be fun. But she's not able to shoot a bear yet. I've kind of set that.
I guarantee she gets that. I mean, she'll do it.
Yeah. It's gonna be a challenge, and
I just love that your daughter wants to go with you. hunting.
Yeah.
Period. Like, who cares if you guys get anything? I mean, you probably will, but you'll get an opportunity. But she's learning about being in the backcountry and earning it. Yep. And she's learning about, you know, you're not going to get those days back with your daughter. And she's, you know, in 5 years could hate you just because of her hormones.
Yeah, I've heard it
you
happens.
know? So that's pretty cool. And I don't know about you, but my dad taking me hunting at about that age planted the seed.
It locked it in, right?
It's locked.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always come to fruition right away, but it does.
Yeah, and I've kind of struggled with this. You know, she's 8, so she's a couple of years. Well, she's 9 now. She just turned 9. But you know, I've always set that limit at 10 before I'll actually allow her to pull the trigger on anything. She's passed her online course and all that. She's just smart kid. We haven't gone through the actual instructor course yet.
Yeah.
But that'll be next. But she, you know, she's got a desire to go do these things. And I kind of have always wondered, even before I had her, like if I did have kids, what's going to be that thing that that locks it in to where they just want to do it, you know, they don't get turned off to it. I don't know if there is something specific that we can do as parents that locks that in. I always kind of go back and look at what my dad did, and he didn't take me for a while. And when I was really young, I just wanted to go bird hunting. He didn't take me, but he would come back and he'd show off all these birds and, you know, pheasant and fish and stuff like that. He'd take me fishing, but for the young years, I don't know what age I was, but it was early. He just wouldn't take me, and then he'd show me these animals and he'd tell me all these stories. And I wanted it so bad. I was like, I want to go. I want to be able to do what you're doing. And so I think that want, and then eventually came that day where he's like, okay, let's go. We're gonna go on a quail hunt. And that was my first hunt ever. And you know, that was a time where I had passed my course, and he took me out there with the dogs and we chased quail. But you know, I wanted it so bad that it was like the fire was lit prior to me even going out and actually hunting myself. So I don't know if that's a strategy that works for everybody, because there's also something to be said about taking them young and just getting them used to it and always showing them a good time. And I think you got to be careful with that, though, because you don't want to like frustrate them. You don't want to put them in like bad weather conditions or real like long-term like boredom, and I worry about that. So I'm going to kind of narrow her little mini hunts to like 2-day trips.
Yeah.
In areas where we see stuff. We're going to see bears. We're going to see goats. We're going to see, you know, we're going to be able to eat berries, and we're going to be able to fish. And we're going to have all these little activities where we're not just sitting on a knob and we're glassing all day. Yeah. I think that may turn her off, may turn a lot of kids off to hunting, period, because it's so boring for a kid, especially in today's world where everything's kind of fast and jacked up. Yeah. But I want to be very cautious as to how I introduce her to it. And last year's was perfect because we had all that interaction. We had all those little experiences. And I'm just going to really focus my attention on keeping her happy and, you know, interested and showing her new things and kind of teaching her and, you know, keep it a real learning and upbeat experience. And that's what this year's going to be on this bear hunt too. And it'll be jacked up with a little bit of rappelling.
Dude, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And yeah, you better get some good video of that. That'll be cool.
Yeah, that's funny.
And I'm sure you'll get some flack if you post it that you're not being safe or something. Yeah, she'll be tied off. She'll be safe. But that is one thing. We are going to video a lot this year. Yeah. Something I've never really done. Why not?
At all. And I'm now, as I get older, I kick myself more and more for not having videos. Because me and my daughter will sit in bed in the morning, and she just want to see like old clips. She loves watching videos. Doesn't matter if it's just me talking to my phone when I'm hunting or something like that, just talking about random stuff. But I wish I had way more clips of my hunts, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was just a young guy, to show her now. And so I am starting late, but we're definitely going to film a lot this year, pretty much everything. Yeah. And it'll be a lot of solo stuff on some of these trips, but also got some young folks that want to come along, tag along, and just kind of film and whatnot. So that'll be fun.
That's cool. So we got to talk about elk hunting. So you're going to be elk hunting potentially Colorado, OTC. Yes. Are you going to bebop to Idaho or Montana?
Yeah. So I've got Montana, for sure. I'm still waiting to see if I drew anything as far as a unit, but if I don't, I'm hunting.
You got your general.
Yep. So got some areas that I found last year that I really liked, but I was not successful on. I ended up hunting a different part of Montana where I got my bull last year. But still, I'm drawn back to these areas where it felt right. It felt good. It looked elky. I think the wolves may have just had them out of there at that time frame. So I'm going to go back to those areas for over-the-counter elk in Montana. Idaho, we're going to be doing a mule deer hunt, and then as well as a mule deer hunt in
Like
in
same as
Montana.
last year's?
Yeah, similar, but in a completely different area.
Cool.
Elk, Washington, for sure. That's my home state. Has been good to me.
Yeah,
And
I don't even hunt Washington. Is it
I
cool
know
to
it.
hunt there?
You know, Washington elk hunting is cool if you have some spots.
Yeah.
Like you can really kind of get messed up with people. You know, there can be places that are just overrun with people.
Yeah.
And it's always a challenge. You know, you could have had a spot to yourself last year. You get there this year, there's a ton of people, and you got to move, and you got to just keep looking for new spots. And, you know, I've got a half a dozen places that I've always, you know, felt good about not running into folks, and I never run into folks there.
Oh, really?
So I'm just gonna keep pounding away at those places. And
I was going to ask you if there was a number of vehicles at a trailhead that will make you turn around, but apparently it's still zero.
Well, yeah, it is, and it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to figure out who's a hunter and who's a hiker.
Oh, yeah.
On some of the trailheads up and down the coast,
Especially on your side of the state where, you know,
you don't know.
There's just a lot of people.
Yeah. One thing that we try to do now, and kind of have to, is I hike in at night. I usually hike out at night.
Love it.
It's one of those things. Unfortunately, people are looking to find your areas these days, and it's just, I don't know, it's gotten to that point, unfortunately. So I just don't want, especially coming out if you got a bull, I don't want to be packing that big old bull down the trail, be bopping down. And even if it is just amongst hikers, you know, those hikers can talk too. So I just like to keep that stuff quiet. And, you know, yeah, I'm not going to say that I'm not ending up at trailheads where there's not 5-6 cars, because there is, but generally those guys are just through hiking into some lake somewhere, you know, not hunting. So it's the nice thing about Washington, though, is there is a lot of area. It just takes a long time to figure it out. Thing is about you're on the complete opposite side of the state.
I mean, Idaho's just right there.
Yeah, you got Idaho in your backyard.
Yeah.
Which, if I lived where you did, I wouldn't run all the way to the west side of Washington to hunt the coast. It's just completely different. And honestly, I enjoy it much more over your neck of the woods with the openness. There's a lot more bulls, let's face it. But I think filling my tag in Washington, filling the freezer with a big old Rosie, that's something special now. I enjoy that hunt every year.
And it's $30-$40 for a Rosie who's got 30-50. How much meat?
Usually I get about between 300 and 330.
Yeah,
right in there.
That's a lot of meat for $30-$40.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, and you know the Rockies over. I don't know what you're pulling off for meat if you weigh it, but what 250?
I have hit 3 on a couple of bulls in just that North Idaho area.
Yeah.
But I don't think they average that, especially when I shoot some satellites. No. But man, the bull last year had to be all of 300 because, I mean, not even halfway through them yet. And I've given some away to some friends and family and stuff like that. So. Right.
Yeah. So I think for myself, it's going to be, I got some elk tags this year with Colorado, most likely.
It's going to be an elk year and a big mule deer.
It could be. I think if I don't end up getting that over-the-counter archery tag, I'm going to go back to Colorado in November and hunt. I've had somebody make an offer to come in and just chase him around on some public land. So another bucket list hunt late season.
That's cool.
So what about you? What do you have for this year?
It's still coming together, but
I know one thing you will have, and that's 2 Idaho elk tags.
Yeah, well, actually, I don't know if I'm gonna do that this year. I got I have I will do an unlimited antelope hunt in Idaho. I feel like that's something I can do with my dad still. So not that my dad's a geezer, but it's just a fun hunt. Okay. So that's mid-August. I think before that I'll do like a solo bear hunt in Washington, and I'm just gonna have to figure out. I got a couple options there, but there's a couple places that open like August 1st. So I'd like to do a little bit of bear hunting,
You sent me a photo of a bear in Washington. I've never seen a bear like that.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that bear? He's huge.
The bear's got diabetes.
Is that it?
I don't know what.
He is a monster.
Have
you been working on trying to find that bear?
I think I saw him last year in person, and I was hunting a state that I was deer hunting, and you can't shoot bears when you're baiting for deer.
Gotcha.
And I was in a spot where I had a tree stand up. I have a couple spots, but I have this bear wallow that I've been hunting, and I've killed a few bears off of. And for whatever reason, that bear never watered there this year. But he was only a mile or two away to my other tree stand where it's for deer. And yeah, he made an appearance, and when he showed up was like November 20th.
No way.
Yeah, and then I even had a couple, like, I think on that stand I had a bear. The day I killed my big mountain buck this year, I had a black bear in the morning come through. And that was like November 28th or something. Like, bears were just out late over there.
Really
but
late?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, but I'd like to hunt, not way over by you, but I like to hunt kind of a central state bear. Like, and I'm just not going to put a lot of energy into it. I'm just going to like go by myself and go for like 2 or 3 days and just do something kind of horrible, deep. And then head down to antelope. And then my buddy Ryan Altus and I put him together for Wyoming. So we're going to go to Wyoming. We drew that. I'm kind of all in on that hunt. Like, Ryan killed a 368 bull there last year. Ryan is like a trophy hunter. I am not.
He kills some monsters.
He does. He passes on elk that I can't. So we'll see how long I last down there. But I think he'll be there the full season, and I'm gonna prepare to be down there, I guess, all of September.
Holy cow, that's good.
If for whatever reason I'm done early, I'll probably go to North Idaho and just finish up there.
Have you ever missed a season in North Idaho? It seems like every year I see a pick or two. For the last
I don't think I ever have.
I've seen 2 elk photos of you every year, forever.
I don't think I have. I think I always try to get over there, and I do have a big bull finally, and he's nowhere near where I met you. I met Ryan, by the way, in North Idaho in a spot that our buddy Kenton hunts, but I met him over there. Met you in the backcountry.
Yeah.
And I think I found an arrow or something.
I think, what was that? I think I packed a bull out and I left, and one of my arrows popped out of my quiver as I was coming back or something like that. And you were gracious enough to swing it by.
Yeah. So I think we exchanged numbers or something. I don't know what, but I definitely called you a couple years later.
That was a long time ago too. I don't even remember how many years ago that was, but that was prior to, wolves being in there super thick and all that. It, prior to being just completely changed with the wolf situation.
It was magical in there.
It was.
So that was not even close to there, but like somewhere like down super low by the river, I found a 350 bull that I hunted basically September 22nd through the 30th. I found him pretty late, and hopefully he made it. He lives in an area that's just almost impossible. Because of how thick it is, and it's not like huckleberry brush. That's not thick, but it's like whatever that alderfield stuff is. I don't know what
It's mind-numbing to try to get through it.
And he knows that, and he usually the elk are out of there, but once the daylight hits that, because it gets pretty hot in there, he's got some shade holes in there or something, because he doesn't leave that alderfield really ever. He does bugle.
You're hearing him in there. He's just not coming out of it.
Oh yeah. And I usually start. I figured him out to where I'd hunt him from below in the morning. So I'd start hiking in the dark, and there's a lot of feeder creeks, so it's like really tough to hear. So you have to like kind of guess where to go in that day and hike in the dark and get to where you can hear. And then his bugle is one of those like unmistakable, ones. Like a lot of mature bulls over there in North Idaho. Like, okay, that's wow.
Yeah, so it's funny how it's hard to explain, like, well, that one's got a uniqueness to it.
Yeah.
But a lot of times one of the bulls that you're hunting does have something about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's got a glunk, or maybe it's got a certain tone at the end or the beginning, or some type of growl that he never squeals, or something different about it.
This one it's pure rasp in the beginning. he's pushing air, but nothing's coming out.
He stretched those vocals to where he's so old probably.
And he just pushes it out. And so my best chance on him this year was the first day that I actually, I kind of spent a couple days trying to listen, not hunt him, but just kind of listen, kind of figure out his area. And I came in below in the dark, kind of gambled, and took me like probably from first light till about 9:30, 10 to get within archery range. And I met him right at his brush field. And if I had one of those like elk decoy things that's in front of your bow, I think that would probably work, but I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'm not going to do that.
Have you ever decoyed?
Only in other states.
Okay.
And it's worked in Montana and New Mexico.
Okay.
But I basically got to about 11 yards from him in that stuff, and I had a lane, and I had the sun hitting it, and he was just behind there raking, and I had his cows around me, and I'm like, dude, this is happening. And it was just one of those,
perfect setup.
It's just, you did it right. I've had that happen, a few times in my hunting career. It's just, and then he literally just read the script and it's like, I'm going to walk through your lane. And I should have drawn, but the way he angled his body, I thought he was going to go to my right. So I'm like, hold on a second. And then next thing I know, he's already in my lane and my bow's not pulled back. And he whirls his head right at me. And I'm in like alders and he just stared at me. I got it on video and it's on a camera that's in the mountains. I don't know where.
No.
But he stared at me for about 11 yards for about a minute. And finally he turned his head and I just pulled back. And I was almost kind of partially drawn. You know how like your elbows up, your hands extended, your release on. I'm like that. So that's pretty uncomfortable for a minute. And then as soon as he turned his head, I pulled back, and I feel like he heard my cams rolling, and he just bolted. But I got the best look at him ever.
They're so fast.
And I was like, oh, cool. There is a 350-plus inch bull in here. I've just never seen one till today.
And dude, that's impressive for North Country, Idaho. Yeah. You don't see a lot of giant bulls like that. Mm-mm. I mean, there's some in there, but to lay eyes on one is so rare.
And I'm not like the best trophy guy, but I've taped enough bulls to where main beams are pretty important. And I don't know about you, but just a lot of bulls don't have a lot of main beam.
Right.
Where we used to hunt. And
Yep.
He's got them. So, yeah, I'll probably just spend time in Wyoming. And then I didn't draw my late season Arizona tag, which bums me out. So I'll probably do mountain bucks for whitetails in November. And if I spend all my time in Wyoming, I'll probably buy a rifle tag for North Idaho and hunt with bow.
Okay.
You ever done that move?
I have.
Yeah.
In Montana. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Any advice?
Rifle hunts, but no, I've never hunted Wyoming. It's another state I've never hunted, but never.
That's good mule deer in Wyoming, dude.
I know. I've heard. It's just another state over. It's such a far distance.
Where we live, and you live like what, 4 or 5 hours from me?
Yeah, I'm west.
Washington's kind of a cool state, but man, it's not central.
No, it's not.
Like Salt Lake City would be
Utah,
kind of yeah. That's your central.
Utah, you just go every direction. You got giant, great mule deer country to go tackle. But Washington, we're out there. So when I look at Colorado, and it's always been kind of a sticky point, like, it's a long ways. Wyoming's a long ways. And yet every year I go to Montana, sometimes East Montana, which is, that's 17, 18
North
hours
Dakota.
for me. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So it's a long drive. But, Wyoming will be in the cards in some year in the future, but slowly branching out, Dan.
I think you've done great the last few years branching out, and I wouldn't want to be a mature animal and have you in my unit. So look out.
I think, I had no idea that you'd actually lay down Idaho and go chase him in a different state.
Oh yeah.
I bet just having Ryan Altus with you is that's a it's motivator.
That bolsters the confidence.
Holy smokes!
That guy.
Does he ever kill anything under 350 or?
Yeah, but there's like something really cool about it, like double drop tine bull. Right. It's pretty cool, stuff. But man, no, he gets after it, and he's good people.
So are you gonna film that hunt for Wyoming?
We have a guy that's coming who's a resident of Wyoming,
mm-hmm.
and he is gonna film. I could care less though. Like if I need to go kill this elk, and I could care less if we get a kill shot on camera. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm there to hunt.
Yeah.
I hunt for me. I don't hunt for YouTube or.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, we have a guy because that resident's rules. I talked about it on a podcast before. I don't understand it. I pay taxes. I live in the United States of America. I should be able to hunt wherever I want. Now, you take my hunting tag away, I'm allowed to go hike into this wilderness, but I can't hunt in it. That's just like
so weird.
And
right?
every Wyoming outfitter that listens to this is like not agreeing.
Sure.
But come on, man.
I know.
This is America.
Doesn't make any sense. You think that'll change in the next few years?
If somebody rich enough wants to lawsuit it up, I think you'd win. There's no justification of it.
I know. I just got a feeling that it will. It just seems like more common sense. I don't know. It just seems like it will. Like it's got to. It doesn't. I don't see the argument for it unless you're an outfitter, of course.
And Wyoming's outfitter association's pretty strong.
Sure.
I mean, they're pretty influential in the state.
Yeah.
But
so you guys are going to have a resident with you, so
yeah.
you're able to dip into the wilderness if you need to. Yeah. That's
and
perfect.
Ryan said he did dip into the wilderness, but eventually ended up killing that 368 outside of the wilderness.
Outside, yeah.
But it's a good area. I burned all my points to give Ryan, because Ryan hunted last year, so I burned all my points so he can go. And I'm like with you in Colorado, I need to get my act together. I think I have 11 points for deer and elk. I don't know what I'm doing.
Holy smokes.
I mean, I would love
You're a
to
bow
hunt.
hunter.
I know. But I would really want to hunt elk in that northeast corner. In mule deer, I could care less. Like a 160 buck is cool. I don't care. But so I need to burn those.
Tell me about your experiences in Montana hunting elk. You've dipped into Montana a little bit.
Yeah, I've only killed a couple bulls in Montana, and they've all been like the checkerboard private property, like central Montana game. And I liked it, but I've only killed elk in October because I'd hunt Idaho, and then you know Montana season goes through mid-October archery.
That's what I love about it.
That's what I love about it too. So
spend all your time in those areas in Idaho, and then you got 10 days or 15 days in October.
But what's up with the general tags being scooped up now? Like for years, when they switched over, I could just go pick up a leftover tag. Like I don't want to front Montana $1,000 till I know everything I've drawn.
Yeah.
And like, so you already had to like pay for your tag.
Yeah. Yep. Especially going the combo.
Well, why wouldn't you? What's it?
Yeah.
$850 for an elk tag, $1,000 for your deer and elk. They know what they're doing.
Yep.
But I'd like to hunt more Montana, and I don't want to hunt brush. If I want to hunt brush, I'll hunt North Idaho. So I want to stay clear of the Idaho border. I'd like the southwest Montana.
Yeah.
Have you been down there?
Yes, I love it down there. That's that is some just classy, super sexy elk country down there. Just the trees and the burns, and it's just more open. It's glassable. It's really good for spot and stock. It's got a little bit of everything. Versus, I know what you're talking about, the Northwest up in there. It's so similar to Idaho. You can't even tell the difference. It's thick. You're not seeing them unless they're really close. It's just that same thing. But I spent time in both areas last year. I spent a lot of time up northwest corner and chasing that, and that is an area that haunts me because I know there's great bulls up in there, and I like the country, but I don't think elk hunting can get any more frustrating than Northwest Montana. Similar to North Idaho.
If you get into elk in that brush country, you can call and you're going to have encounters, but there's no guarantee about getting shots.
Right.
And how many elk, and this is a good stat, how many elk in North Idaho, because you used to hunt it a lot, have you seen under, I'm going to say 20 yards and not let an arrow go?
Too many to admit. Yeah. I mean, some absolute monsters. You can have everything work out. They come into your effective shooting range and everything is perfect, but there's just brush between you and them. And they're staring a hole through you, and you can't move. And you can't break sticks anymore, and you can't make elk noises. And so many times where that's happened, and they just end up walking away. I mean, too many times. And it's just the same in Northwest Montana.
Really?
Yeah.
I like I said, southwest, and I'd really like to hunt the southeast area. There's a lot of private, but I still think that southeast Montana's probably got some of the biggest bulls in the world.
Yep.
That people
Big
probably don't want me to talk about.
Coulees yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd like to hunt the east side. I've hunted it once, east side of Montana.
For elk?
I drew a breaks tag a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
But I went at it with a rifle, and that's quite a few years ago.
I feel like that's not fair for the elk.
Yeah, well, it was a fun hunt though, because I was in an area where not a lot of bulls, to be honest. There was a decent amount, but it was everything we had to turn up a mature bull, even with a rifle. So all your effort wasn't into getting in tight; it was into covering country and glassing and just doing everything you could to find that one. So that was the hunt. The hunt wasn't getting in tight. Whereas there's a lot of breaks tags over there where there's a lot higher density, and it's about trying to get in on them with a bow and avoiding people.
Mm-hmm.
But this was one where the density was super low, and everything you could do just to find one. I know we were over there like 10 days before we actually found a good, like a real healthy, mature bull that I wanted to put my tag on. So,
Well, if hopefully Hillary doesn't listen to this, how many days did you hunt last year-ish? 30,
okay.
60.
Let me break my toes out, fingers out. So August, it's probably at least 20 days in August. Oh, well over 60.
Well over 60?
Yeah,
Wow.
probably 70-ish.
Yeah.
Yep.
How much work do you have to do leading up to the season with your business, with Joey, your fish feed business, as
Yep.
well as taking care of your house?
Yeah, a
Family.
lot. You
Like-
can't believe how tight my lawn is before I leave the house. Everything is immaculate. It's the one time a year where the house is in ship shape.
Yep.
Because, yeah, that's the struggle. I mean, that's the struggle when you have a family. You know, I've got a great wife and 2 daughters. So, yeah, a big part of hunting season is taking care of that end and making sure your family's good, making sure everything's taken care of, the house is right, you know, bills, all that stuff is dialed before you leave. I mean, that's your responsibility. So that coupled with just all the preparation and, you know, feeling you're at, you know, you've got everything you need in your arsenal as far as your shooting, your you know, physical preparation, your mental game, and you've done all the homework that you need to have done prior to you taking off on a big old expensive trip. But yeah, that's a big part of it. And my wife is right there, and she will tell you that it's something that you have to do. Like, you have to get everything right prior to going, for sure.
Yeah.
I spend, you know, and the other thing is I garden a lot. So that time of year, you're also trying to find an hour here, an hour there to like prepare your food and preserve your food and can your
Seriously,
food. And
you have a huge garden. You
yeah,
guys,
there's not enough time in the
you've
day.
told
in
me, and
August.
I'm going to quote you. I'm like, Ryan, what do you actually buy at the grocery store? And you're like, well, 2 things, maybe butter
Yeah.
or peanut butter.
Peanut butter, coconut oil.
Coconut oil. That'd be about it.
I mean, that's embellishing, definitely.
Sure, but I get the point.
We try to get as much as possible grown and put away through meat. So all the meat is obviously from what we do in the fall, but then all the veggies and all that kind of stuff, everything that you can put up either in the freezer for leafy greens, or, you know, if you want smoothies and you can live on smoothies, you can powder the stuff and dehydrate, you know, every green that you can imagine and powder it and use it that way. Yeah, I mean, it's endless if you have a big garden and you're a hunter, to all the meals and all the food that you can put on the table for your family.
So badass. What about work? Like, how do you do the time off, the payroll? Like, you run the shop. Like,
So,
how do you put out fires?
The only reason that it works for me is because I've got the greatest partner in the world in Joey. That guy, even if there is a problem when I'm hunting, he's so good at what he does, and he cares. He just knows not to bother me with it.
Wow.
That's hard to find, right? People are kind of...
That's probably almost impossible to find.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, we're basically like brothers. You know, we've grown up together and spent so much time in the mountains. I try to give him his time, and he gives me mine. So it's a back and forth. But yeah, I don't know where I'd be as far as how many days I'd get to burn in the fall season without him taking care of the business and just kind of overseeing every little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So.
And then do you guys sit down, because he's quite the hunter himself,
Yes.
and kind of like line out who drew what, and
Right.
okay, I'm going here, you're going there.
Yeah, we do for sure. And the one thing that's fortunate for us, though, being in the fishing business, is that time of year, especially the later season, And you'll notice I get to spend a lot more time archery hunting, early seasons, August, September. He spends a lot more of his days off later, like October, November, when our season really just gets quiet. So the business isn't firing on all cylinders at that time. We're more seasonal, like this time of year, spring, all through the summer and into the early part of fall. But, you know, a lot of the guys that fish also hunt. So it really does slow down. So it's kind of the perfect business.
Good.
That to be in for that. And it just was worked out. And, yeah, there's always stressors. There's always things that come up that, you know, I feel like I probably should not spend so much time in the mountains. But, you know, I only want to compromise so many things.
You get one shot at it, man.
You do, yeah. I just got to be careful these days. You know, I used to fish a lot. I've eliminated fishing from I don't fish anymore. I used to shed hunt a lot. I don't really shed hunt a whole lot anymore. And those are just things that I'm sacrificing so that I've got those days in the fall built up.
Oh my gosh, this is like the greatest. I mean, I'm with you in this same capacity. I have this capacity. I have to start shutting things down for my family.
Yeah.
But I still am filling up that calendar, August, September, and November are my 3 months. And I'm writing them in there, and I don't feel bad.
Right.
And I'm remodeling my gym, and I'm remodeling my house right now, and I haven't shed hunted once this year. That's never happened.
Yeah.
But
it's peace of mind, right? You feel a little better about
Yes.
it versus if I was shed hunting every single weekend and I wasn't getting all my duties done as a husband and a father, and then come fall season and I'm still doing the same thing. I'm gone for weeks on end. It just wouldn't feel right, you know, something wrong about that in my mind. You know, you want to be responsible, you want to be respectful, and, you know, I am perfectly fine. My biggest passion is hunting in the fall. So I'm perfectly okay with sacrificing. Still very much love shed hunting and getting out. In spring, I used to turkey hunt a lot. I used to fish a ton, beaver ponds to high lakes to steelhead. And quite honestly, I've given all that up. And it's been a steady progression year after year. And now I'm at the point where I really just don't do it much at all. But come fall season, I feel like I've sacrificed some.
Yep.
To feel better about what I'm doing and taking these days off in the fall. So
that's what it's all about.
For sure.
Okay. Well, what else you want to talk about?
Oh, man. I'd like to, you know, learn from you. I mean, you've done so much, man. It's shocking. I know I got to talk to you about a goat hunt you did last year. Was that last year?
Was
that year before?
16.
16. Yeah, that's been something on my bucket list forever. I don't know that I'll ever draw a tag to do it. I wasn't smart putting in for certain states for goats a long time ago. I don't know how many points it took for you to draw that, but I put in for my home state of Washington, and I still may never draw.
Are you doing the raffles in our home state?
No.
I feel like you have to do the raffles too, and then
I'm a cheap bugger though.
I know I am too. Well, you have to be when you have kids, but there's a dude who's friends with Aaron Snyder who I think he got that governor tag. You probably know who it is, like
James.
Yeah.
Yep.
For how much? I don't even know.
I can't remember. I knew at some point.
I thought it was like $5 or $6 grand.
I think you're right.
And he like walked away with a mountain goat hunt in Washington.
A super cool hunt. Yep, definitely. Yeah, I heard about that one. That was, and yeah, it still didn't motivate me to throw a couple $100 into a hat every year.
I feel like you should do that. And I mean, what's a goat hunt cost nowadays to go to BC or like Alaska?
Oh, we were talking about this last night.
Is it?
It's gonna be. I mean, anywhere from what, 6 to 10, 12,000.
Yeah, I'm thinking the median price has got to be close to 10K.
Mm-hmm.
I will not do that. I'm not. Everything's relative to your hunting budget.
Right.
And I just feel like if you're like me and you're pretty blue collar, like, dude, you're an asshole if you go hunt for your goats when you could be like putting some money where maybe you can help your kids out for college or something. I don't know.
Well, as much as I would love to hunt goats, I also understand that to do that would be sacrificing like 10 elk hunts.
Think about it that way.
Out-of-state elk
Think about
hunts.
that.
And I'm not willing to sacrifice 10 out-of-state elk hunts.
A bull bugling
or 5 combo deer elk tags.
Oh, come on.
For
I'm
one
with
goat.
you. For a goat. And I'll be honest, man, the mountain goat I killed, We made into jerky after I started cutting into it. I'm like,
Okay.
Jerky.
Old Billy or?
On its way down for sure, but still just tough, tough meat. Good jerky.
Yeah.
Good jerky, but that was a Utah goat. You know, I drew with. There was 2 non-resident tags. I got the one, and the other guy was from Spokane, who drew the other one.
Gotcha.
But he had max points.
Gotcha.
21 or 20.
Holy smokes.
Or something, and I drew with 9. I had no business drawing that tag. But in our state, like, what's the odds? I mean, is it like 10,000 people putting in for 5 tags?
Yeah, I think there's a few more than 5, and maybe 20 tags in the state.
Oh,
something
total,
like that,
yeah.
Total. But yeah,
I'm thinking per unit.
per
there's
unit,
10,000 plus per.
I think one of the units does give out 5, and there's some that give out 1 and 2. I've always struggled with trying to figure out our state because we got a lot of goats in our state.
We got a lot of goats, and then I don't understand the point system. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around. You got this hat, and my name, I have, so like a guy like me, he's got 12, like maybe 15 points, but
I'm with you.
or 12, I don't know what it is. But so if I have 12 points, my name's in the hat 144 times. If you have 10, your name's in the hat 100 times. So we just throw that in this hat. There's so many names in the hat because of squaring points. You know, it's cool, yeah, because someone with 1 point or no points could draw,
Sure.
theoretically, and they do. But I sure would like to see those old timers.
But you could have 20, 25 years of putting in and still not
And never draw.
And
I feel like there's got to be some sort of change there where you get like at least a max point tag.
Yeah.
So you got to start getting those guys that are tagged before they die.
Yeah.
They deserve it.
I would love to see our state open up a few tags. You know, it's one of the reasons why I really want to go chase goats with my bow is because you see so dang many of them. I mean, you see them all over the place.
And you could get a pretty good one in Washington. We got some great goats. I mean,
when I've talked about this before, but a lot of the places we deer hunt and elk hunt, you're seeing a lot of goats. I mean, you're seeing a lot of goats. And some of the areas where I bear hunt and as well as deer hunt, there's no tags allotted. And I'm seeing 20 goats in a day in these places and, you know, a lot of billies and just no tags available. No option. But I don't know. I'd like to see the state dump another 20 tags and kind of clear out the guys at the top.
It seems like it's sustainable, especially when you got all the goats that live in the Olympic Park in Rainier Park.
Yeah.
Like we have goats that are going to die of old age.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I could go out tomorrow and easily go and go into areas and find, 50, 75 goats easy without even trying too hard.
So that's your number one bucket. What about Idaho? Because Idaho's got a good system for trophy species. You have to apply for either goat or apply for sheep or apply for moose, but you can't do all 3.
And this is how cheap I am, Dan, because I know how much goat hunts are, but it's also $2,200
for 2 months.
Yeah,
8 weeks.
Yeah,
and then you don't have to hire an outfitter if you draw.
That's true.
So you're not that cheap. You're actually being way more economical. That's how I drew that moose tag in Idaho. Was I was like, I'm not going to spend $6,000 to $10,000 on a moose hunt and have someone have to be with me. You know, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, on the 3rd year, I drew that moose tag, and I didn't kill a monster, but I killed a bull from you to me. I got the experience I was looking for, and yeah. So for 2 years before that, Idaho made a little interest off my 2250. I just had to make sure I stashed that away.
Sure. Yeah.
And I've killed a moose, and you know what? That meat is probably the best next to antelope meat.
Yeah. Yeah. I have yet to put in for those 3. I'm always putting in for deer and elk in Idaho.
You can hunt deer and elk over the counter everywhere.
I know.
Idaho doesn't really have that cool. I don't know.
It's true.
I feel like you should put in for mountain goat, and you should put in for. There's 2 units. One would be probably like the Seven Devils area. And I forget people listen to this. I probably shouldn't be having this conversation. But the other one's like southeast Idaho. And with Go Hunt and Hunting Full and Epic Outdoors, there is really no secrets with the internet. Like it's just you got to draw it. But pretty damn good odds for a non-res. And I think they only give 10% of the tags to non-residents in a unit. So you need to find a unit where they're at least, giving out.
Yeah, there's definitely no better draw odds in the lower 48 to draw than Idaho as far as the big three.
There's your goat, and
moose,
you've
sheep,
been
goat.
in the Seven Devils.
Yeah, all the areas that I've seen goats in Idaho are areas I'd love to go chasing with a bow.
Absolutely, you would kill it.
But yeah, the big three in Idaho. For example, my dad drew that moose tag a long time ago.
Yeah.
In Idaho.
I remember taking a photo of a bull and being like, is this good enough?
You showed us a great bull. And my dad being the guy he is, he's like, yeah, but they found it for us.
I like that, though.
So we had to go find his own because you told us where that bull was. And we went down and looked at it. We went down.
You did?
Yep, we went down, checked it out, saw it. It's a great bull. But we had to go find our own. So
that's cool.
We went to a completely different area, and I had to actually take off before he ended up getting that bull. And then I drove all night and went over and helped him pack it out.
You're a good son.
That was a lot of work.
You don't want to pack a moose out by yourself.
No, that was just so much meat. And it wasn't even hardly off the trail, and it was brutal. So
seriously. Were you like pumped driving all night, or were you like?
I was excited to see it.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I'd seen, and helped break moose down in Alaska, but I wanted to see that thing up close, and he was so excited. And actually, he shot that thing, and then that night he did what he could. Took off as much hide as he could. He couldn't spend the whole night there. It was raining. It was nasty. It was like sleeting, and so that was the night he threw his little transistor. He's old. He loves listening to AM radio news all day long.
Yeah.
Something weird about that.
But
he'll sit down.
That's his thing.
In the woods and just listen to AM radio.
Whoa. While hunting?
While hunting, to take a break next to his fire.
Time out.
So he took that little green AM FM radio and he slipped it in a Ziploc bag and then he set it in the cavity of that moose and he blasted country music. He just cranked it up because there was wolves howling in the backdrop.
Oh, yeah.
It was a pretty wolfy area. And he let that thing go all night, praying that was going to deter him, and it did. We showed up the next morning by the time I got there, and I was able to help him, and the radio was blasting. And
what'd you think of the
of
size
the wolves
of a
on
moose?
The carcass?
Your first time walking up to a moose on the ground?
It's unreal. It's so night and day compared to an elk. It's not even close. You think
and
elk
elk
are
is
big?
Huge.
You think a big elk is just giant, right? It's
yeah.
Like, am I going to roll this thing over sometimes? And then you look at a moose and you're like, I'm not rolling that thing over. I have to rip parts off of this thing to just be able to twist it a little bit. So no, it was an absolute beast of a bull body wise. So impressive. And luckily he flopped down in a flat spot. So
that's awesome. I remember when I got mine down. So my dad helped call it in, and I think I shot him literally like every pin was on the moose. He was that close.
That close, wow.
And it was quartering away. I mean, it went pretty severe quartering away. He died really, really fast. I mean, he just made it a few yards with an arrow through him. And we had cold beer in the truck, and we were like packing it like maybe, I don't know, only 100 vertical feet gain, and then just 100, 200 yards down the road. So we had like pack frames and cold beer. It was cool.
Wow. Nice.
I remember that. That was in 2014. That was a good. Yeah, you need to put in for goat. I would go with you on a goat hunt just to go. Something about a goat, man. Like, and I got really good at picking out Billy versus Nanny, like that. People talk about that is so easy to decide after just looking over a few, and just their body language. Obviously, their bases,
yeah,
is everything. And people are like, really? Are you sure? Yeah. Most nannies are pretty spindly. Billies carry the mass, and their body language,
right.
And depending on the year. But
yeah, I've heard people talk. It's kind of been a thing. People talking about having issues determining which is which, like to the point where they have to wait until they watch them piss. Right.
I just don't see that from what I saw in Utah, and I was only there for 2 days.
You could look at those bases and determine that's a Billy just by the.
There were so many goats where we were at.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in, for those that are wondering where I was at, watch the YouTube videos on there. I mean, I tell you right where I'm at. I show you how to, if you draw the tag, what to do.
Right. So
many goats, and I looked over all of them, and it really wasn't hard to decipher. And I would say, like, even from afar, you could tell body language. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm rooting for you to do that.
I know, and
you got time.
That's the smartest play is Idaho because
have a few
like
weeks
I say, I'll
left.
never draw Washington, but my draw odds are best, and I will never splurge and dump all that money into the North Country. It's just too spendy, like we talked about. So
10 elk hunts.
I know. We'll see. Well, if I do happen to draw it, we'll have to do another podcast.
Yeah.
Reiterating the entire hunt.
We'll do it. So tonight we're going down to Backcountry Hunter and Anglers.
Yep.
Rendezvous.
Absolutely.
Pretty excited. We've been recording this whole time with Jason Phelps about 5 yards away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just sitting over there.
He's picking up tidbits. So,
he should be the guy on the podcast.
Let's get him on
a
next.
Book of knowledge, Jason Phelps.
Let's ask him about elk tactics. The reason why that's funny is because he just got done saying how many podcasts he's been on, and all he's been asked is elk tactics.
Yeah.
He knows other stuff, people. He's got other things to share. But
All
anyways, well, Stealthy, I think that's a wrap, man.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Sitting down.
Thanks for doing this, Dan. It's
Shooting,
cool.
hanging out.
It's always fun to catch up with you.
Just pick up where we left off.
That's right. Let's do it again.
All right, man.
Thanks.